So if you're watching this video, you've probably either been told that you need an EICR, or maybe you've just been thinking about getting one. But the big question is, which I know most of you will have, how much is this actually going to cost you? Because if you've done even the slightest bit of research already, you will see prices all over the place, ranging from £50 to £100 to £300 to £600, £1,000, so on and so forth. And it's no wonder people get confused. So in this video, I'm going to explain exactly what an EICR actually is, what's involved when carrying one out, what's going to affect the cost the most, and what you should realistically expect to be paying here in the UK in order to have one done on your property. And by the end of which, you should have a good idea of what's going to be a fair quote and what's probably too good to be true. So let's jump straight in and start with the basics. An EICR stands for an Electrical Installation Condition Report, and all that really means is it's a full inspection of your wiring, your sockets, your outlets, your lights, your consumer unit, overall the entire condition of your electrical installation at your home. The electrician doing your EICR will go around and we will do a combination of both visual checks and then proper testing with calibrated test equipment, and at the end of which you will be given a report. Now that report will either say satisfactory, which is exactly what you want to happen, or it will say unsatisfactory and it will list out a series of issues that need to be fixed before it can be considered safe and then given the all clear. For landlords, this is a legal requirement every 5 years or with each change of tenancy. And for homeowners, as of right now, it's not legally required, but it's strongly recommended that you get one, I would say at least every 10 years at a minimum, if possible every 5. Or when you're planning something big, like let's say you're having a new consumer unit upgrade, or you're having an EV charger installed, or solar panels and a battery system installed, because you need to make sure that the existing wiring is actually up to standard and safe to use. Now let's move on and talk about what you're really here for, which is the cost. Now this is where it's going to get interesting, because an EICR isn't a one flat price fits all type of job, okay? The cost depends on a few key factors. The first one is going to be the size of your property. So a 1-bedroom flat is going to be a lot quicker to test than a 5-bedroom house with an extension and a loft conversion and a garage and 3 separate fuse boards, okay? So naturally, the bigger the property, the more it's going to cost you. Second factor is the number of circuits involved. So each circuit has to be tested individually. So if you've got, let's say 5 or 6 circuits in a small flat, that's a fairly straightforward testing job. If you've got 15 or 20 circuits in a larger house, it's obviously going to take longer and therefore naturally it's going to cost you more money. The third factor is accessibility. So if all of your sockets and the light switches and the accessories are easy to gain access to, naturally testing is going to be quicker. But if everything is hidden behind wardrobes and bookshelves and the consumer unit's buried in a cupboard underneath the stairs and it's hard to get to, all of those things, they're going to add time. And of course, more time equals more money. And then finally, your location plays a role. So prices in London, so where I live in Earl's Court, for example, they're going to be much higher than prices in, let's say, Leeds or Milton Keynes. Okay, and that's just because labour rates and operational costs are much higher in bigger cities. That's just how it is. So what does that actually look like in terms of real numbers? I want to give you some realistic figures in order to give you an idea of what you should be expecting to pay. So each electrician will be different with how they charge you for conducting an EICR. Some electricians will charge you per breaker, or per circuit, I should say. Others will charge you either a per hour rate or a day rate, okay? As of filming this, in and around London, I would suggest that you are looking at paying around £250 on the lower end of that scale for a smaller property. So I want you to think a studio flat or maybe a 1-bedroom flat, and then maybe 2-bed flat at the most, maybe if it's very small. Beyond that, I would suggest that for a 2 to 4-bedroom house, you're looking at around £350 to £400. And then anything bigger than that, the price obviously goes up from there. Now, before you all rush to the comments and start abusing me and saying things like, that's a rip-off, you're scamming people, I know so-and-so and they do it for 80 quid or 100 quid down the pub, hear me out because this is important. I know better than most people that there are a plethora of other people out there who will offer cheap EICR certificates at ridiculously low prices. But that is because they're not doing them properly and they're scamming you. Okay, it's all too common. And in my opinion, it's disgusting. Okay, I abhor anybody that does that, because what they're doing is falsifying reports and then making up readings in order to earn a quick pound at the expense of other people's safety and potentially lives. Okay, that's why they can do them for so cheap. And then they'll have you believe that true and professional electricians are ripping you off when they give you a genuine quote for conducting a proper EICR and everything that goes into and involves a proper EICR. To give you an example, if you were to give me your address right now, I could open up my laptop right here, I could make up a bunch of nonsense, and I could email you a satisfactory EICR within the hour. That's how easy it is to cheat the system. I would never do that, I'm just giving you the example. In the electrical world, the electricians world, we call them drive-by EICRs, because these people that are doing these things, they're fabricating readings, they're falsifying certificates while they're sat in their vans outside your property, or they're even doing it at home while they're sat at their breakfast bar or their dinner table, okay, having a drink. It's very common, especially in the landlord world, where EICRs are mandatory every 5 years or per tenancy change. And again, in my opinion, it's disgusting. So I am fully aware that many people offer cheap EICR certificates and tests. But I want you to be aware that the reason that they can do that is because they're not doing them properly. And all they do is drive around all day, every day, creating as many certificates as they possibly can in order to make a fortune doing so at the expense of your safety and your life. So I want you to think about that. Now, that's my little rant over and out, but I really want you to think about that and let that resonate. Now, let's talk about what you should actually expect to receive from a proper EICR test. The electrician, we will do a mixture of dead tests and live tests on each circuit. So we will check your sockets, we'll check your lights, we'll check the bonding to the gas and the water, we'll open up your consumer unit, and we'll inspect the condition of the wiring and all of the protective devices inside. And at the end of all of that, you will get a written report, which is your EICR certificate, which will either be satisfactory or unsatisfactory, and it will list out a series of codes. C1 means immediate danger, C2 means potentially dangerous, C3 is an advisory, and FI is further investigation needed. Okay, so if you've got C1s or C2s, those need to be fixed for the report in order to be considered a pass or given a satisfactory rating. Now, here's another point that customers don't always realise, and that is that the EICR itself, that doesn't include then fixing or addressing any problems that are discovered during the test. It's purely an inspection and a test. So if any issues are found during that inspection and test, let's say the earthing's inadequate or you've got a damaged circuit somewhere or a damaged breaker somewhere, that remedial work is going to cost you extra. Okay, now some electricians will give you a quote straight after the inspection or there and then, and others will send it through to you later on, like myself. I'll send it to you via an email later on in the evening. So to wrap this up, for a small property in and around London, as of filming this, late 2025, I would say that you are looking to pay somewhere between £250 on the lower end of the scale and £400 on the higher end of the scale for having an EICR carried out on your property. And of course, I can't give you a direct, very, very highly accurate number because it's a spectrum and it all depends on your property size and the amount of circuits and accessories involved, and then as well as the access available to those accessories. But for a general estimate based upon my experience, for a qualified and competent electrician to conduct and complete a thorough EICR on your property, right now I'd say somewhere between £250 to £400 will give you a good idea or a ballpark figure of what you should be expecting to pay in and around the London area. And honestly, if you want my opinion, it's worth it. You're getting peace of mind that your wiring is safe, and if you're a landlord, you're ticking the legal compliance box as well. Now, if you are based in London or the surrounding areas and you do need an EICR, or maybe you're thinking about upgrading your consumer unit once you've had one done, I'll leave my contact details somewhere on the screen now and also down below in the video description box, and you can feel free to get in touch with me for a free quote, or if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them for you. Now, hopefully that clears up any confusion around EICR and pricing. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. And of course, I will see you in the next one. Until next time, take care.